Nice. Hi everyone. Welcome to our stream. Today with us we have Shawn from Netlify. Hi there.
Hi.
Shawn is developer experience engineer at Netlify. Can you tell us a little bit more? What does it mean? It's like developer advocate or DevRel or like something else?
Yeah, I tend to explain it as half DevRel and half open source tooling, which affects the developer experience of our users, right? Like to show them how to use stuff and build libraries and maintain libraries um, that people use to interact with the core Netlify platform. So yeah, some engineering, some marketing, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what we'll do today is basically we will build our async serverless business logic with Hasura and Netlify, which is I'm really excited about that. We started to do that with Kenzie Duds a couple of weeks ago, and hopefully on this stream we'll continue further. We'll do much more complex business logic than just having one event trigger, one serverless function. Netlify will have something more solid. Let's filter bad words from posts. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Cool. Let me just open a chat here for a second because I want to monitor if people have questions in chat. Just a second. Let's see the dashboard. Sometimes I think I have too much screens, but then I have these streaming events when I think I need much more screens than just 3.
I've had 6 screens before.
Oh, and, that's intense. Okay, let's just a second. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I see the chat. So if anyone in the chat, just say hi. We're here to answer questions. So let's start. Let's basically start with just bootstrapping our Hasura really fast, and then we'll dive into adding
30
async.
seconds.
What's that?
It takes 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. You can actually you can put a stopwatch. Oh shit! I need to log in.
It's fine. I don't judge these things.
Yeah. No, it's actual 30 seconds after login, right? This is all Heroku thing. So basically what I did here, I clicked on get started with Heroku free tier, deploy to Heroku button, and here let's call it Netlify Sura Awesomeness. Now you can put a stopwatch. Let's count. 30 seconds. It will be less than 30 seconds actually.
Oh. Running.
Less than 30 seconds. It was 22 or something. So yeah, now we can go to our console here and bootstrap our app. Let me just, yeah. Okay, cool. So what do we have here? Have you created stuff with Hasura before, or it's just like first time?
I just ran through the demo. So I know the rough ideas with like creating the schema and then and then naming the fields and then doing the foreign keys and all that.
Yeah, so I will just go fast through that because there are lots of tutorials, but I will dive into more complex parts. So if you have questions on the way, just feel free to ask. So basically we have a graphical here and we don't have anything, right? We just set up our database. and our engine. And by the way, we can do it on existing database. So whenever we have existing Postgres, we'll have already everything populated. But
yeah, it's pretty cool because you're compiling the SQL schema into a GraphQL schema.
Yeah, exactly. So what we can do now, for example, we have also this data tab, which is basically our interface, like pgadmin to the database, right? So when let's say you have an existing database, then here you will have all your like tables and stuff. So let's create a table. We will do a blog post. We'll set an ID, and I have a bunch of helper functions that help you with generating a bunch of stuff. So for random UIDs, for example, I have this function, and let's say we have a title of the post, we have content, and we have user ID. Right. So primary key will be ID, and yeah, I need to select a type, and currently this is fine. I have a post table. So right now what we can do, we have queries, mutation, subscriptions instantly, right? So basically, are you aware of n+1 problem in GraphQL?
Yeah.
So the idea is with n+1 problem is the bunch of resolvers that compile to different SQL statements, and you get n+1 SQL queries, right? So here, that's not the case. We kind of completely solved that by just doing, yeah, by compiling that. And you can see that by clicking on Analyze button, you will see the actual SQL that is generated.
Yep.
So this is like really cool. And if you have like really nested queries or subscriptions, we compile everything to SQL, so it's there's no n+1 problem. So currently we don't have any posts, and we don't have any users, right? We had only user ID. So what I want to add here is additional table, users with ID, also random UID, and we'll have name and I don't know, address. Let's make it nullable. And primary key will be ID. So we'll create that and we'll connect these two tables. So to connect that, actually I need to do it here. I need to set a foreign key, and if you played around with Hasura, this thing has changed. So previously it was just setting a foreign key, and now you have a bunch of additional features like on update violations, on delete violations, and you can reference, basically have granularity of your foreign keys and connect anything that you want. So I want to connect to reference table users and connect user ID to ID, right? And I can also select, like, do more complex foreign keys. I can say, okay, and title will be something else. So this is a new thing, and I think it won't let me now. Yeah, it will let me. Okay, and now it will suggest me to add relationships.
Yeah, I really like this feature.
Yeah. Now the cool part, I don't know, like if you've been aware about that. It's already there. You can add relationship manually. So you can select either object or array relationship, and let's say you want to connect it to remote schema. Did you know about that? That you can connect relationships to remote schemas, which
I didn't know that.
Which is pretty neat thing. And we're working on adding like deep nested support for remote schemas whenever, let's say, you will be able to connect your user ID to Stripe ID from Stripe API or something like that, which is pretty cool. Okay, so whenever we connected this, now we can query our user and get its name, right? Now what I want to add here, additional tables, I want to add timestamp, type timestamp, it's nullable, no, it's not nullable, and I want to add verified. Now verified is the flag that we will use, because what we will do with our post, we will write a new blog post, and whenever it will be parsed through a serverless function, and whenever we have bad words or like offensive language, we will basically substitute that to stars or underscores, and from our UI we will present only the verified post. We won't present all the posts, right?
So this is a string. Is a text as well.
No, verified is a Boolean flag.
Okay. Okay, so you're gonna overwrite the content.
Yeah. So the idea is I'm writing to database by executing mutation, and then I call the serverless function, do whatever I need to do, and then write mutation again to database, changing the verified flag. Now, because I have subscriptions here, everything is propagated to the client through subscriptions, right? Yep. So that's the async serverless business logic, basically. And in general, if you talk about business logic, there are two use cases for business logic here: remote schemas and events. So remote schemas, if you want to do something synchronously, you want to, let's say, send an email whenever no, send an email is actually an event, but you want to let's say do something like call external API, whatever, do something external, do some your own business logic, and then write into database. What you can do, you can execute mutation by executing a remote schema mutation, and it will write inside the database by just using this endpoint. Does it make sense?
Yep. Okay.
Cool. So what we have here, we have currently we don't have anything, right? So let's actually write a new mutation and insert both posts and users. So I will use this Explorer feature instead of writing. So I want to insert title. Verified will be false. Actually, you know what? Before that, I will modify my verified to have a default value as false. Now I want to insert title. I want to insert content. Timestamp will be the current timestamp, and I want to insert user with name, and I won't write my address. Content will be you awesome blog post, and title will be post number 1, something like that, and we also need to return something. Let's return an ID and user ID. And everything is written for us. Did you know about this feature?
I know about Explorer. I know it came from one guy, but I didn't know about the returning field.
About returning thing?
Yeah, that seems new.
Yeah, so you can, in addition to affected rows, you can basically return anything.
So what does it say to? What does it say to affected rows?
Affected rows is just the number of affected rows. So if you look at the response, this is the integer, and the returning will be users.
Okay. I see. All right.
So you can both get the returning and what was that, user ID and ID, right? Both the returning and affected rows. So typically I will use affected rows when I will have optimistic UI updates, whenever I will assume that mutation will just work. And I will use returning whenever I will want to update local cache. And actually, we have an upcoming tutorial, kind of React course on how to do that properly. So we'll announce that in the next few days.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't. The whole point of using subscriptions is that I don't need optimistic updates, or maybe I do need optimistic updates, but
It
um,
depends. It
yeah.
depends.
But I don't need to do like refetch queries and stuff because I'm just subscribed.
It depends on your UI, and it depends on the amount of data. Let's say you have thousands and thousands of fields, and you subscribe to all the changes. Yeah, sure, you can just use subscriptions and subscribe to everything, but sometimes you just don't want that.
I just want to optimize.
Yeah, you just, it's not that it's like optimize or something, because we can run basically um, I think 10k concurrent subscriptions um,
Oh,
on
it's
one
not
Hasura
like your,
instance.
yeah, it's not. It's not your side. It's more of the React app. I mean,
Yeah,
the
yeah, exactly.
front.
So if you want, your browser won't be able to handle such. It's like, why do we need infinite scrolls, right? Why do we need like loaders
Yeah,
and stuff like that? Because we don't
yeah.
want the user to just wait in the dark and like waiting for UI to be updated. Um, so yeah, that's why we'll use returning. That's why actually with the returning we won't need to refetch queries, because we just need to update cache on the client, right? Because we will get the return post. So let's say we queried our post previously, so we got our post for this specific user, had title and content, and we got like one post, but let's say we have two or three, right? And let's say I'm inserting this new post. So whenever my mutation is returning, I can just add these values to the cache. I don't need to refetch queries. I don't need to subscribe to data, because
Yeah.
this is the actual UI that was added, and I know it worked because my mutation succeeded, right?
Yep. Yep.
So that's the idea why you need this returning. And affected rows is just like for mostly for optimistic updates.
Okay.
So cool. Now we have our post. We can look at it here. New awesome blog post, and it's verified false. So now what we will do, whenever our new post is added, we want to execute a serverless function. Now how will we do that? We have these events here. So the idea, and we added this like a couple of months ago. You can just try things on glitch.
Sure.
Maybe we should need to add Netlify here too. What do you say? Let's add the
That's
logo of Netlify and
yeah.
like with the plugin or something. Yeah, and we have a bunch of different versions of serverless functions for Lambdas, Azure Functions, Cloud Site, and hopefully after today we will add Netlify to this list too,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Sounds good.
So the idea is, whenever I create a new trigger, my trigger will be name will be, let's say, bad words filter, and on post table, on insert, I want to trigger some kind of URL, right?
Okay.
So whenever I trigger this URL, my serverless function will run, and it will execute mutation. Now,
Yep.
let's see what mutation it will execute. Let's say I'm getting this post. The new post is created, right? So I will get an ID of this post.
Mm-hmm.
Now what I need to do is change this verify to true and to parse my title and content through some kind of filter of sorts, right?
Yeah.
So basically what I will do will be a mutation and will be update post where ID of post equal to this one. And I think here, what am I missing?
Terminated string.
Yeah, I need returning, but
you're wrapping in a new line.
Okay.
And your editor doesn't wrap properly. You see that? I think you just expand the window. It should be fine.
Yeah, that's well, actually. Yeah, you're right. Okay, need to open an issue on that. Anyways, it's just like UI thing. So I want to check if my ID is equal to this one, and I want to set something, right? I want to set my title to be a new title, content to be new content, and verified to be true, right? So let's assume I wrote a blog post saying this is a shitty blog post, right?
Okay.
So I want, instead of having this one, substitute it to stars, right?
Yeah, nice. See what you're doing.
Something like that. So yeah, actually there is an npm package for that. It's called bad words.
Yeah.
So what we will do from our serverless function, we don't need to connect to our database. We don't need to change anything because we already have these endpoints, right? So what we'll need to do is just to execute a mutation, like the exact same mutation. And we can pass it as a post request, stringified with variables of title, content, and verify. Hope it makes sense.
Yep.
So, yeah. Do you want to start trying creating this Netlify function, showing me how to start creating that?
Yeah, okay. I'll try to take that over.
Yeah.
So what, do I share my screen?
Yeah.
You have to stop your screen first.
Okay.
On the Zoom chat that we have. Okay, cool. Now I see my ugly face. Share. All right. I have
just a second.
I have the same console here.
Wait just a second. It's not in the... For some reason, it's not in the view here.
Uh-oh. We didn't test this.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, now it's working.
Okay. So I have the console that you were on. And now we're trying to add the event triggers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the same query that you set up, so the same mutation that you set up, so I'm not sure.
I can send it to you.
Yeah. Okay. So filter bad words, schema table. I suggest probably posts, and then we're gonna update, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it insert?
It's an insert. It's an insert.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's an insert. We don't need an update because whenever we will update,
right?
Well, we can run it. Let's just start with the insert.
Yeah. So then we have a webhook URL. So this is the thing where we're supposed to do the Netlify.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So in that case, I think I'm just going to start an empty folder. Netlify. Let's see this. So this is an empty folder, and then we'll just do the rest in VS Code. I hope I'm speaking loudly enough because of the audio setup that we have.
Yeah.
but you never know. All
Yeah,
right, so
OBS and
so then
sound.
so then we're basically going to use Netlify just for the functions. Actually, you know what? I have a demo example that I can just hang on. Vanilla HTML example. Okay, you know what? We'll just clone this Netlify Labs vanilla HTML example. I just set this up. Um, so this is vanilla HTML, and then it just like you have some functions that you can use. Oh, what is this? Is this mine? Function example. No, this is your conceit document.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna come out of this. Actually, okay. Okay, so this is the. It's a very simple repo. It just helps you to get started with Netlify. And that's just a basic HTML file. You can run Netlify dev on it. So MTL dev. I have an alias to ND, but that's just good for local testing and stuff. So can I run it? My computer is very slow right now because I'm recording as well as streaming.
Yeah.
I might need
Trust
to
me,
just
with mine is much slower than yours because I'm running OBS and Zoom, and it just eating resources. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, I started running, and I stopped it because I'm an idiot. All right, I'm just gonna stop recording. All right, so I'm just gonna show local testing. And so what this is, right, is there's two folders. There's a public folder and then there's a functions folder. So the public folder is just a pure index.html file.
Yeah.
And it hits this endpoint, and then it imports this script, which just attached this event listener to the button, and it hits this endpoint, Netlify functions hello world. So and then on the function side, it receives the hello world. It receives hello world, and then it it looks at the query string parameters, and then it basically just echoes it back.
Yeah.
And so you can see that over here in localhost testing, and I can see that response as well as see that log in the server.
Yeah.
So that's good for basic testing. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make our own bad words function. So how I think I'm going to do that is
the thing is, for that you will need package.json, so I'm not sure with Netlify. I tried last time with adding package.json to Netlify functions, and for some reason it didn't work. So
yeah,
I was hoping you will show.
I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna switch to a new branch. Okay, and then we're gonna get rid of this. Actually, no, I should keep it on. And then we're just gonna do Netlify init because I want to link it to a new site. So I'm gonna create a new site. Hasura, awesome. We're deploying to the public directory, and that's about it. We don't actually need any of this because all we need is just the functions to deploy. And the functions folder is configured here. We just call it functions equals functions. It's just we should have a convention, but we don't. That's just we just like things that are explicit. Okay, so now we have a site that's been provisioned for us that is called sites Netlify Hasura awesome. And this has a function called hello world.js, and this is live in production, right? So if I go to this endpoint, I will see hello world back. And if I want to change that name, I can just say like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we verified that this function works, and now we got to add a new function for filtering bad words. So I think what I'm going to do is I cheated a bit, and I have Netlify functions create. And now we're going to create that Hasura function. I think I have this. So we have templating set up, so people don't have to look up code and stuff. They can just type it in. And I just copied the one that you did with Fancy Dogs. So let's see if that works.
Nice.
So right now what it says...
So it's like official template right now?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so right now what it does is it scaffolds that function folder. Now we have this new folder here.
Yeah.
And it installs the dependencies based on package.json, like bad words and Axios. And then we have the all this code that we don't need to touch anymore. I mean, but you know, you own the code, right? So, for example, things like this, we have to change that endpoint. But like, I think it just makes it easier for people to get started, and we can add more prompts to improve this kind of scaffolding. Okay, so we got Axios. We're requiring bad words. It's all installed in no modules over there.
Yeah, basically we're doing the same mutation that we've done in the GraphQL.
And I don't know if we called it the same thing. Content, title. Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. So the one of the Netlify dev is still fairly new. One of the bugs that we have right now is the deploy step, and that's what you ran into last time, which is a problem for us. Like we should fix that ASAP because everyone is running into that. But right now, the way to deploy it is actually just very simple. Netlify deploy prod. And you just go straight to prod.
So whenever you do that, the package.json will also be like everything will be installed from package.json, or?
Yeah, in fact, there's no installation required because we zip the functions, and then we just send the zip to a CDN. That's it. Yeah. There's no installing, and that's why it's super fast because it's already live. So if you refresh here, you can see the Hasura event triggered. It's already live.
But we still need basically we need package.json in the same folder as our function folder, right? So we cannot rely on. Yeah. Okay.
So you can also there's a resolution logic. It looks all the way up the dependency tree. I think you can also just put it in the top level package.json if you have one.
Yeah.
I'm actually not sure, but I'm trying to encourage people to just isolate their node modules so that you can have independent dependencies, and then when you remove them, you'll never see them again. Right? You don't have stray dependencies lying around. It's basically components for your functions, right? Like you're treating functions as components. So that's, I think that works. I think then the only thing that we have left to do is to
add that to Hasura.
Put this endpoint here in the triggers. Is that safe?
Yeah.
Do I just add?
Yeah, you just add.
Okay. So one of the things I'm not sure about, because we never tested this beforehand, is that I'm not sure if Hasura can just trigger this. So let's just try that. And if there's some kind of whitelisting, then I'll look into how to whitelist that.
Well, last time we triggered Netlify function with Hasura, so there was not problem with that.
Yeah, there's some security because like sometimes we don't want any random person to just ping his endpoint, so
yeah,
we want to do it in that. And personally, honestly, I just haven't done it before. So
I think if you have some kind of security, basically you pass headers that you also can. If you go to events, for example,
yeah,
if you go to event triggers, you will see, and click on modify. You will see you have headers over here. So whenever you have some kind of event trigger with authorization, stuff like that, you will add that to the headers.
Okay, very good.
So basically, let's say in the real world scenario, right? You will have some kind of authorization here, some kind of bearer token provided by any authorization solution that you use, let's say Auth0, right? So you'll have authorization token passed to Hasura, and whenever you trigger an event, you will basically need to execute mutation on the same endpoint, which will be authorized, right?
Yeah.
Now, sometimes you can, let's say you're a user, you want to add a post, you don't necessarily have any permissions to update this post, and you still need this serverless function to update the post. So that's where we have roles. That's why we have the admin secret key. So if you look, for example, into the bedwars filter, I think it's in the code there.
Where?
If you look at the function itself, at the function code.
Okay.
No, actually, it's not. Yeah, so whenever you do Axios post to to endpoint, you can provide Hasura admin secret if your endpoint is authorized or have some kind of like authorization and stuff. Because we are talking about like server to server, actually serverless to server, this is fine. We don't need to pass through whole authorization layers. I hope it makes sense.
So one of the things that we're prototyping with your team is the Hasura add-on. And so I really want this to happen is I can just create Hasura staging. And what that does is it spins up an instance and it gives us that secret. Whoa, what is this? Oops. Hang on, I think I got the name wrong. Anyway, there's a Hasura add-on that gives that secret that we can use inside of our template in here. And basically, our template can auto-install the add-on when we scaffold it as well.
Nice.
It's called Hasura staging, right?
Yeah.
Okay, something's wrong. Or we may have changed the name or something because
yeah, it's in active development, so.
Yeah, it's still in development, but basically, I wanna make that easy. And also, the other thing from our side, we have an identity service that we have an identity service. It kind of looks like this. If, for example, especially for React apps, it makes it really easy to to log in because you can just throw in this widget. You can log in. Let's just log in with GitHub.
And you support custom claims?
What do you mean custom claims?
So you use JWT token, right?
Yeah, JWTs. Yeah.
So do you have custom claims in JWT setup? So the idea is how Hasura works, right? So you have JWT token and you need to provide custom claims with specific Hasura values, right? The question is if you support these custom claims or not. Because if you don't support these custom claims, you probably should.
Gotcha. I don't think we do right now, but I can build it because I built the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we have that JWT, and basically what we do is we'll pass that on to every single function request, and we can. Where is it? No. Where is? We can pass it on to every single function request. So you'll say things like event dot client context or something. And that will be your identity instance, and that can be passed in down in here to authorize the exact user.
Yeah, that's nice. So you this is also something it's currently in development or it's already like in production. I can use it.
So this widget is ready to use. I obviously haven't tested it with Hasura but basically all we do is we give you the JWT. We can set up custom claims as well. I just there's a key value store in here that we can.
Yeah, then you can. Yeah, then you can set it.
Yeah. So I mean, I built this like last week. There's more that we can always do, but the basic auth stuff is done. And I really like it mainly because the code is super simple to add. Like, I'm super lazy, and
we all
so
are.
literally, it looks like this. I'm pretty happy to show it off. You import the widget, and you import the styles as well. If you give it in a provider, you can use the hook in the rest of your React app for identity, and it updates whenever you log in and log out. And you just stick a modal in there. That's it. Like,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't want to write this ever again, right? So I just take the same UI and stick it on.
It's like Auth0, but without all the headache of setting callbacks and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I actually want to incorporate Auth0 as well. So eventually, I want to take out Netlify and just go React identity widget, right? And then just be a one universal interface because all of this does the same thing, like log in, log out, metadata, all that shit. Like, we should just have one universal interface and then just a bunch of adapters for different auth services. That's my eventual goal. I don't have that yet. I mean, I just have the Netlify one, but.
The problem is that they're working quite differently. If you, let's say, compare Auth0 and AWS, for example, have you looked at my recent blog post about authentication with AWS and Hasura?
No.
So the authentication with AWS and Hasura is like really different from. Yeah, I like this picture.
Man, this guy's too thick, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
It's a little bit, whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
Time I likes it.
So
okay, AWS, blah blah blah, webhooks, blah blah blah.
No, this is just the authentication explained, and let me just share this link. Just a second. So basically, it's like how you do Hasura with AWS and Amplify and stuff.
Okay.
Just a second.
Yeah, you pass a variable like that.
So let me just share it in chat. It's this link.
Are you on the Twitch chat?
Yeah, I for some reason cannot send you.
Okay, hang on. I got the Twitch chat.
So this one.
I don't see it. Oh, are you on the Zoom or Twitch chat? That's the Zoom chat.
Yeah. I send in. No, Zoom chat is bad. So.
Okay, I see something. I can't copy it.
It's in
dev.to Hasura Amplify.
Yeah.
To Hasura.
Why can't you copy that?
So, I don't know. It doesn't give me anything. Oh, I got it.
Okay, so okay. This one. So wait, what's happening here? You open the stream, so I hear myself. Can you mute the stream?
Can I mute the stream?
Yeah, you open the stream chat, so I'm kind of hearing myself.
No, I closed it already.
Okay, cool. I think it was a delay or something. Anyway, so what I was saying, authentication solutions are pretty different from one solution to another. So
blah blah blah. All right.
Yeah, lots of blah blah blah.
I may not be able to. I don't know. These are all hooks. Like, it's fine. It's Anyway, okay. I don't wanna like derail us too much. And so let's go back to the console, right? Like
let's try to actually when you said about this identity thing, I was thinking maybe we will do this identity thing too, but I'm not sure if we'll have enough time.
Well, we can add that on later. Let's just test that this works.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have content, title. What else?
Uh,
ID.
content title.
User.
That's it. Verified will be. Yeah, we need user. We need user ID actually.
User ID.
You can grab it from if you go to data tab, users, or just query users. You can grab the user ID.
Oh, I should have done that. Use GraphQL, right?
Yeah. Actually, you can just create a new user. Also, like I'm not sure why I'm telling you taking
Um,
my user ID. Actually, create a new user. That will be better, I think.
okay.
So you need to provide it's like an object with the data. Yeah.
Just,
Explorer is handy, huh?
yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to use this.
Yeah, address is not mandatory, so.
I just like.
And yeah, and you need to return something. Or yeah, just affected rows.
Okay. Content. I can say.
It's supposed to be bed.
Shitty post. Shitty title. So I created something.
Yeah.
And then it triggered on the Hasura side.
Yeah.
And so now when I
if you go to events, you will see filter bed wars. You'll see it's executed. So if you open it up, so you have this tiny arrow over there. So you see the invocation.
yeah.
You see the payload, and this is the insult. This is the request, and you will see also the response. If you scroll up, yeah, the response.
Very cool.
Yeah, looks like it's successful. So go to data.
Data
And
posts.
posts. Yeah, it
Yeah,
worked.
look
Cool.
at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I mean, we can build a whole front end based on this, but I like this. I like the idea of the three-factor app.
Yeah.
So
It's
I really
three-factor
like
data.
that. That
Yeah.
is the event-driven architecture, right? Like that we're passing it through the state, and then it calls an event, and then it calls our serverless function, and it passes it back into the state.
Yeah. No, it's like Redux for architecture, right? So it's like so people usually like ask, okay, but do I need to rewrite everything? If I use Hasura, rewrite everything, use async serverless. So I just wanted to emphasize that there are so many solutions that you can do for your business logic. So basically, if I separate them to groups, you have like three solutions, right? The one
Right.
is async serverless, we've seen it now. The other one is remote schemas. Whenever you can create, you can call it your custom resolvers basically, because your remote schema can be just a tiny bit of GraphQL API hosted somewhere on Netlify or on Glitch or Lambda, whatever, right? And it will be your custom resolver to maybe your other data source or whatever, like external API, something like that. It's not necessarily remote schema. It's something like a huge GraphQL server that you can stitch together. Obviously, you can, but it's also for kind of small custom resolvers. And this is the second solution. So it's more like synchronous way of thinking. And the third one is more or kind of data oriented. So you can just write like store procedures and stuff like in database,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So actually, if you go to a console, um,
Console.
you will, if you go to data, you will see the SQL on the left. Yeah, if you click SQL, you can just write your own SQL. So you can just create view.
You want me to do that? I haven't done this in so long.
You can create view as create view. Let's call it users, users one or whatever,
Okay.
as select star from users.
Hey, look at that. I think it's
Yeah.
just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you run that, So you'll see users is here. Now the cool part, if you go to graphical, you'll see, if you go to docs, for example, and queries and subscriptions, you will see users one there, and users one aggregate. So basically the idea is you can leverage database features for your GraphQL API. So you can do like custom views for your queries and subscriptions. And in addition to that, if you write your custom functions, that will generate mutations. So basically you can optimize. What?
Where do I do the custom functions?
That's where I need to Google.
Yeah,
let's actually create something
in teaching here, because I don't know what to do when I come here. But no, this is very powerful. Like,
yeah,
especially the aggregation done for me.
Yeah,
that would usually take a whole bunch of code that I don't want to do. Right. I like this aggregation stuff.
Yeah, it's good you mentioned that, because you can get like the max, min, and count, and also get nodes if you go into nodes.
What's in the nodes?
So meaning you from aggregate query, you will get both the aggregation data and the actual data. So usually it's not the case. Usually it's like, if I want to query for max, I will just query max from users. But here you can get both the data and aggregation thing, like max.
So this is a superset of the aggregate query, is a superset of the
and you will have all of those like distinct limit and offset and where operators on all the queries. I mean, in general, like where operator is like super powerful. You can do conditional statements for nearly everything, right?
Yeah. Basically filtering and limiting and pagination. There's this. I think there's this theory that we should all be on the same layer, like pagination, authentication, and there's a third one, which basically, like, where do you put your business logic, and where, in terms of your schema design and all that. Whatever. This is probably a good practice.
So another practice is, let's say I want to limit all of these based on permissions, based on roles. If you go to data tab, you have these permissions as column over there. If you go to post, if you select post, for example, have permissions, and you can select them really granular. So let's say let's define a new role, call it something, and you can do any level of custom checks. So let's say you do a with custom check. So you can select basically any field, and you can check if this field is anything, and you can bring these operators from outside through from your your authorization token. That's why what custom claims are about. Your custom claims and JWT token will bring you this X Hasura user ID, and then you will be able to check things here.
That's great.
And additional things we've added, there's column insert permissions and column presets. If you go down there, so you can select that you want users to be able to select only content and timestamp, something like that. And even if it's not enough, you can create always can create custom view and just select whatever you want. Just limit that on a database level, and tell in permission system you will allow specific users only to subscribe to views and not the tables. So sometimes people ask, we did this verified flag. So sometimes people ask, okay, but what happens with all these flags? Wouldn't I create flags everywhere for all these async logic? but that's not the case. You won't create flags, you will use views, and you will set permissions for your users to be able to see views based on some kind of logic. So basically there are like three layers of this business logic, like on the data layer, on like remote schemas or custom resolvers, and on async serverless side. And you choose whenever whatever like serves you best.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a blog post because I can't keep that all in my head.
It's in the backlog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
probably next week. I'm not sure, but the next week, maybe after that. I'm flying to London next week to JavaScript International Conf. So
Okay, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure we'll continue to improve this experience. This is my first time digging into any of this permissioning stuff, which is
yeah.
obviously essential for any sort of real world
We should definitely do like this identity provider of yours with Hasura and create maybe a blog post or demo about that.
Yeah. So like, I have the it's just called React Netlify identity widget, and then so basically it would be nice to just throw in. We can just fork this, right, and make a Hasura example.
Yeah.
And then just have login and then some chat stuff here with filtering bad words, and then have different roles for based on maybe like the kind of person that is logged in.
Yeah.
The thing about Netlify identity as well is that we also manage roles on this side. So I don't know how we want to actually let me show you the roles. So you can also manage roles inside of the identity solution. We should probably do that. Like let's say I can give this guy admin access, right? I just say admin. No, like whatever, peon. And I can create that role and give like manage all that within here, and then attach that metadata alongside of my client side request, and then just work off with that, because I'm likely to use this role for other things as well. Yeah. So I don't want it to live inside of Hasura, right? I wanted to just have this. It probably belongs with my identity solution, and then when I get to the Hasura side, I just do a match of my role to the identity role, and that will have the database level access to stuff.
Yeah, it depends. Like, for example, for Auth0, right? So whenever you add custom claims, you can write your own code. So basically, you get everything from that you like all the data from Auth0, and you can return anything. And here, if you have something like that, I can check the actual role and map the roles I have in database. So
cool. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely implement this as well. But I'm also learning this as we go along, because I've mostly just done front end stuff. But this is really cool, and it's definitely the future.
Yeah. Usually when I get to data tab and to SQL, people are like, what? Like writing SQL? I'm like last time I wrote SQL was a while ago. That's the same Ken said last stream.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's battle tested. I don't have a problem. It's just that it's been a while. But
yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. Yeah. This is nice. It's really nice.
Yeah, and you will
do so much when you work with.
By the way, have you noticed that it changed the actual SQL?
Yeah.
Because it also optimizes everything. Whenever you write on SQL, it will optimize that, compile differently, and
that is really cool. Cool. Is there anything else that you think we should cover?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything, and we made our app working on the server side, right? The client, I've done lots of streams about how to do a client. So I guess the the next challenge with Netlify will be to create this identity thing and write a blog post about that, or maybe do live stream or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I may need to basically add functionality in order to make this work.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go hack on that for a bit, but
Yeah.
definitely can be done. And it doesn't. I mean, the beauty of it is that Hasura works with any auth solution, right? So it's really up to whoever to fit the pieces together.
Yeah, the whole idea you can use it everywhere with every solution. There was like half a year ago, for example, AWS was not supported. Like the authors there, because some providers, when they have custom JWT claims, they don't support nested JWT claims, so you need to stringify. But we added this functionality, so right now it's working. And yeah, basically for auth specifically, it's not only JWT, it's also your own custom auth. You can roll your own tokens, whatever, as soon as you return specific headers. That's fine. That will work too. So
sweet. Awesome.
Yeah. Another thing I want to ask regarding this, the template that you've created. So where can you share in the chat where it is? And
Yeah. So basically, you type. Let's see what. Yeah. So basically, you just type Netlify functions create with the latest version of the CLI, and then you just type for Hasura. So this is a nice example for people to add on. But then also in future we can auto install the Hasura add-on as well for a nicer experience.
mm-hmm.
So I can just. Should I go to the Twitch chat or?
No, I will write it there. So it's like you do Netlify functions, great, and then you pick Hasura.
Functions, great, yeah. Great, and then Hasura, choose. I don't know why I'm typing.
I already typed that in chat, so.
Yeah, but then also, if people want to make their own templates, right? The source is here. Let me show you source function templates. We're going to move this out to a separate repo, but you can basically write your own template. So you can look for this exact function and just copy that over. So I put it in the Zoom chat for us, and basically, this is the raw source code, and then here's the package JSON. We'll just install whatever you have in the package JSON, right? So that's for all your node modules that you need, as well as you can specify some metadata around what the template is, and we document what that is over here. And so basically, if you have a folder like this in a GitHub somewhere, you can actually go over to go over here, and you can just say clone template from GitHub URL, and you just stick in that GitHub URL, and it just copies that for you.
Oh, nice. And yeah, and obviously I can contribute to the official URL, right? So I just like pull requests and stuff, because I have a bunch of.
Formatting for this is wrong, but we'll figure that out. But basically that's the idea. But yeah, so basically what we need to do is right now all this is inside the CLI Netlify dev plugin. We want to split this out to a separate repo so it's easier to contribute and document all of this. But yeah, I mean that's all the functionality that you get, and we want to make it really easy for people to add functionality.
Nice.
Including GraphQL Gateway, which is the thing that we showed. So let me just show you. So if people want to stitch schemas with Hasura and something else, they can spin up a gateway that's serverless. It's installing that as well. And so basically we'll have separate endpoints for two different. Let me just spin up another two endpoints as well. So I'm gonna spin up an Apollo server Lambda backend.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll call that Apollo 1. We really need to do it in parallel. Oh, and also I need to get ignore stuff. Whatever.
So it's whenever people want to do what, to like stitch things together.
Yeah, schema stitching.
But they can add things to just as remote schema to Hasura too.
Yeah. So this would be more on like a resolver level, like if they just have business logic that they want to do inside of GraphQL. Because yours is more on a data level, right?
That's actually it can be really useful. For example, so what I'm thinking, so if you stitch them together, right, and whenever, so I'm thinking if you stitch them together and then import the as remote schema, then then you'll have collisions. Never mind.
Then I have what?
Then you'll have collisions probably because you have like duplicate schemas. If you stitch them and then import remote schemas.
If you namespace, I think it's fine.
Yeah, if you namespace, that's yeah, you can.
So here I've done. So basically, I have one central. I have one endpoint here. That's Apollo 1. Let me just. This is becoming a demo. I'm sorry. But I just want to spark your idea, imagination.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Hasura. So I have a serverless endpoint here that has a playground, and it has an authors field, right? So I could just query all authors. Oops. And then so I have 3 authors here, and that's my first endpoint. So you can imagine this as like coming from Hasura or something else. And then my second endpoint is something that maybe I write myself. Based on I'm wrapping a REST schema. Here I have books. Right, so I have a whole bunch of books as well as their author IDs, author names. Right, so so basically what I want to do if I want to stitch schemas together is I want to match based on the author name, and then look for the author, look for the name as well as some of their personal information, like whether they're married or not. I don't know what else do I have. I just have whether they're married or not. That's very very lame. Okay, so but basically I have 2 different schemas. One this is Apollo 1, and then this is Apollo 2. And then so for the GraphQL gateway, what I want to do is stitch them together, right? So you can think about these as remote schemas. Here I have Netlify functions in the endpoint, but then I can just have the Hasura endpoint as well. And then stitch them together using the Apollo merge schemas functionality. So over here, I just go for whatever I named it, GraphQL gateway. And so then I'll have both of them in the same schema. I ran this before, so it's kind of stored. And so here I don't. And so they are combined schemas, but they're not stitched yet because they, for example, I want to have my author name resolved to something on the other schema, right? And so basically, I just take out this comments. This is just all like examples for people to just adapt. And so resolve based on this fragment, and then delegate the resolution to a different schema. So I changed one of my schemas, which is schema 1, onto schema 2, whatever. Like and so when I refresh, all this sort of live reloads, right? So now when I look at my book, I don't just have an author name, I have an author as well. That results in the remote schema. And so I can just query author name and whether they're married or not, based on one schema querying to another.
Yeah, so you mean like, for example, I'm thinking about like example with Hasura. So with Hasura, for example, you can do pretty much the same on a remote schemas level, right? So you add both of these schemas as remote schemas, and then you will get all of these, in addition to like Hasura CRUD, right? But what you're saying is, if for example you want more like to stitch schemas and to have access more on a code level, right? And do like schema stitching, and on a server do some kind of complex business logic. This is also a solution, right? So
Yeah,
like
so like
getting the
delegating
CRUD
schema
from
whenever
Hasura, and
resolution.
getting the like external APIs as remote schemas, and getting them on the server.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I think for Hasura, it's good for like like this one, like you're literally stitching
yeah,
the databases together, right? And then for any sort of
it's
complex
not
business
only
logic,
databases. I can actually take the whole like this GraphQL gateway, and
yeah,
put
gateway.
inside Hasura as remote schema.
It's awesome.
So because Hasura does schema stitching on right now, it's like on not on nested level, but we're working on adding also like nested schema stitching.
Right.
um, but the thing is, you can basically create any kind of your logic there, and get both the CRUD and both the like the whole code, whatever, wherever you prefer to write it. Let's say you want to write your code in Ruby, I don't know,
Yeah.
like on Elixir or whatever,
Yeah.
and you created your GraphQL server in this language. You can totally add it as remote schema. So the cool part is, now we're talking about schema stitching between different languages. So you
Yeah.
can have 3, 4 different languages and different servers, and you still stitch schemas together with the remote
Yeah. I mean,
schemas.
that's the cool part about GraphQL. It's like the common language.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So yeah, I think we covered a lot on this stream, like lots of different solutions for business logic, and lots of solutions with Netlify, and actually, I'm really happy how the stream went today. We talked about lots of really important stuff,
Yeah.
and I think we need to schedule another one in a couple of months, and do
Yeah.
so,
Finish the off stuff, right? Yeah.
do some old stuff, or do some more crazy stuff.
Yeah. Very
uh,
cool.
yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for attending the stream,
Yeah.
and
Thanks for having me.
thanks yeah, to our viewers. You can find both of us on Twitter. Sean's handle is Swyx, SWYX. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Mine is Vladimir Novick. I'm not creative with the Twitter handles. It's just my name. And yeah, find us on Twitter. And if you have any questions on Netlify and Hasura, on both, or in general on developer experience, ping us on Twitter, and we'll be happy to answer. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Sean, for attending the stream.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye bye, everyone.